hide. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to, this is the Santa Barbara County SELPA AT AAC services overview, and this is the MildMod group that has come today. So anything related to MildMod is what will be coming up in discussion if when needed. So my name's Lisa Foote. Obviously you can see that. Just giving you a little background, my story is that I've been OT for 14 years and 12 of those are school-based, and 11 of those 12 years have been here in Santa Barbara County. So basically most of my career has been here. And I got interested in assistive technology when I was working at SBCEO and realized that there was an assistive technology position. And I was curious and wondered, well, what do they do? And how is it different from OT? Because part of being an occupational therapist is working, doing assistive technology in terms of, what does the student or person need? Is there a specific tool they might need? So, I was already an assistive technology provider per se, so didn't really know what that position was. So I was just interested to see what the overlap was or what they were doing. At the time, Debbie Grant was the one, she was actually in that position as assistive technology specialist, I believe, at SBCEO. But I didn't have much interaction with her, so I didn't really know anything about it. And then the other piece to my interest in assistive technology was just having some nagging feelings about working with kids with autism, and thinking that there's got to be something else to be accessing language versus just using the PECs as a visual schedule, or just using it for requesting snack, or just using it as token board. And those were the three main things I would see, and it was just like, well, I would try to do something else. I'm like, actually, I guess I can't do anything else. It's the only thing the only thing the student can do is request snack or request an activity. And, but I'm not a speech therapist, so I didn't really know how, why I was thinking that. But so those were the two avenues that kind of got me going. And I got into doing more assistive technology related continuing ed starting in 2014. By going to the Santa Barbara SELPA at the time was doing the assistive technology like 5-day course. And so I did that and started getting into doing more of those kinds of continuing ed. General objectives of this is just understanding why we discuss assistive technology and understanding that it's a device or a service. It's not a goal per se, and understand where you're talking about this in the IEP, and then how everything connects and what your role is on the team. So each week it's been, what's your OT role on the team? What's your speech therapist role? What's your teacher role, etc. You can just see I've been making this all into one. So the OT objectives were to kind of explain to the OTs the difference between OT and AT and the professions and the overlap. Same with speech therapy. What's the difference between a speech therapist working with AAC and an assistive technology professional? And then also the SPED teacher objectives would be, again, can you understand who goes into assistive technology, and that it can be a variety of different people. And then I'm going to show you guys just the big frameworks that people use for assistive technology, so you can it shouldn't be foreign to you. And then just understand how you can orient, how you can look for up the stuff on the SELPA site that I've been making to access forms and supports and anything like that. So really quick, here's the difference between assistive technology professional and the difference between an OT, a PT, speech, or special education teacher. So if you look on the right side, ATP means assistive technology professional, and SMS means seating and mobility specialist. So the typical people that go into assistive technology would be a special education teacher or anybody in the rehab sciences. So you can see there with a master's degree, you would be doing 1,000 hours of work experience in 6 years, and this qualifies you to sit for an exam. So you pay a couple $100s for the exam, pass the exam, you get the ATP initials after your name. So so speech, PT, and special ed can do that, but also anybody else could do it. So many times what another assistive technology professional might be somebody with a disability who goes into it to help other people with a similar disability and be an advocate for themselves and for other people. So that person may or may not, they can just have a high school diploma, or they can be going to college. It could be related or not. So a lot of assistive technology is really just practical learning and problem solving on the job. So that kind of explains, there's no official credential for AAC specifically, but as MildMod teachers, you're probably not interacting so much with students using AAC. So that's not as much of a concern. Here we go. So the two main assistive technology frameworks that are used to assess students are the WADI, which is this Wisconsin Assistive Technology Initiative. And it's free, anybody can download it. There's many, many forms to look at in terms of the process of doing it and how to do it and checklists. So these are the main areas. These are all the main areas that you can assess in for assistive technology. And that doesn't mean, oh, you have to assess in all of these areas. It just means these are the typical areas that one might assess in. So for you guys, you would probably be looking more at the academic stuff. So writing, reading, math, organization, mostly that. Mod severe teachers and the OTs in speech sometimes will then be working with the seating and positioning and the multiple challenges and complex needs. So each of these have forms that will say, give you ideas of what have you tried for the student, check yes or no, and give you some ideas of where to start with. And you'll see later what I've done with the assistive technology forms for SELPA is kind of mimicked these areas in a shorter form. The second one is a SET framework, which stands for Student, Environment, Tasks, and Tools. Pretty easy, right? You're in your classroom, your environment, your tasks are the academic tasks. What are the tools the students are using to do those tasks? Maybe it's technology, maybe it's not. And then of course the student would be, what are their areas of need and what are their skills? So similar to occupational therapy, the SET framework you'd look at all these different areas and decide, as an OT, I would be looking at which one of these areas do I need to intervene in, if not all of them. Assistive technology tends to focus more on the tools. What are those assistive technology tools? But we have to remember that it's task first, then the technology. What ends up happening a lot of times is people are like, I want, this student should use this technology, or do you think this technology would work, or that technology would work? What do we, what's the technology out there? And you want to think of it first in terms of what is your student doing in the classroom? What are the academic tasks they're doing? You have to think of the task first and decide what, how are they doing it now? Low tech, mid tech, high tech? What are the features that you need the student to access to do it? What can happen is, somebody could come in, even myself, and say, oh, look at this app, and the student can show that they use it, but then it doesn't really fit into what you guys are doing in the classroom. And so then it becomes a sort of extraneous thing that, doesn't really work with what you guys are doing. And so it can not be used or whatever, or it can go the other way. Oh, this is a great app or a great piece of tech. I think other students in my classroom could use it. And then it becomes more of this is just in your classroom and anybody can benefit. This is the official definition of assistive technology that you can read. So that's what we're talking about. It's an item or a piece of equipment or a system. And it can be low tech to high tech. So, and sorry, I'm like somehow not able to talk today. When do we talk about, sorry, let me take a drink. Okay. So we discussed this to see if a student needs something to help them with their goals or their tasks in the classroom. We discuss it, first we discuss their present levels of performance and how are they doing everything, and then identify those tasks, and then identify the goals and objectives, and then you're discussing any assistive technology on the special factors page or the accommodations page. And this is the point where I like to tell everybody, make sure that you put assistive technology on the special factors page and on the accommodations page. Sometimes it's on one page or the other, and you look at one page or the other, or somebody looks at one page or the other, and it gets lost in the cracks. Or sometimes what can happen is you might put something on the accommodations page, but does a student really need this? Is this really important? And if it is a really important piece of technology or equipment and it really is important, I definitely would duplicate it on the special factors page, because then it's seen as more robust and more important to use, not just one of 25 accommodations on the accommodations page. And I think when we've moved to Cyrus, I've enjoyed looking at all the different drop-down boxes on Cyrus versus having to always write everything in like we did in SACE. So again, when you're looking at assistive technology, you're looking at the continuum. What would help the student? So the next couple of slides are just examples of different types of tech. So low tech for math would just be using my fingers or using objects. Mid tech would be using more, specialized manipulatives or a calculator, and then high tech would be, using specialized software or Chrome extensions, things like that to help with math, typing math or writing math. For writing, various tech would be low tech and for writing, we have writing the motor aspect of writing and writing the composition aspect of writing. So for the motor aspect, which is what OTs like to work on, is the pencil grip, using typing, and using Chrome extensions or iPad apps. And then for composition, sentence frames, graphic organizers, and then specialized software, Chrome extensions, etc. I've always had difficulty trying to figure out, does the student have dyslexia? Does the student have dysgraphia? And even when you talk to the dyslexia experts, it's fuzzy to them too. So if a student has dyslexia, it's not really just about reading. They can have the writing problems as well. And sometimes if it's dysgraphia, you'll see more of the motor problems. Or a student can copy very well. They know the letters if they're copying them, but if they have to get it out of their own head, it all falls apart. That's the processing issue. So you wouldn't really say, oh, well, you need a pencil grip, because they can't get the words out of their head by themselves when they're trying to compose letters. That's not a motor issue. So you can have students who have terrible handwriting, but they're processing fine, and vice versa. So that's the kind of thing like, well, what's really the problem, and what's the type of tool that they might need? Also, just jump in if you have any questions in the chat so I can see it pop up. And finally, we have communication, different low tech, mid tech, and high tech for communication. Low tech, of course, is just our natural human verbal, nonverbal behavior and gaze or behavior. And then moving up to pictures and moving up to high tech. So what is the role of the teacher? If the student does have assistive technology, you familiarize yourself with it and you make sure that they're using it. And if they're not using it, you can ask why, or maybe it's not the right piece of technology, or maybe you have a different thing that you're using that you think works better. You're free to kind of do that problem solving too. Monitor the use. If you have OT or speech, anyone to team with, talk to them about it. OTs like to, and probably behaviors too, like to look in the task and the task analysis. Well, where is the breakdown of this task? Is it the environment? Is it behavior? Is it internal to them? Or is it part of this task that's hard? And which part of the task needs which type of tool? And assistive technology is just super fluid. It's always changing. So just because something works for one task doesn't mean it's going to work for another. Maybe it'll work for a couple months and then something else needs to happen. So it's really an ongoing process. So the next slide, same thing. OT, if you're an OT, which this audience is not, the OT would then know to provide some assistance in terms of helping you problem solve or doing a little observation of task analysis. And same thing with the speech. They'll be able to give you some assistance and look at different ways of how communication is working for their communication or for their writing or their processing as well. and what might be something that could help them. Maybe it's just a visual support or a sentence frame, et cetera. Okay, so now the fun part. So why am I here and what am I doing and how can you access me if you need me? Does anybody right now have any questions specifically related to AT or AAC for your current students? If so, just jump right in. If not, I'll keep going. Okay, I'll keep going. So one of the things I've been doing since I've gotten this position is I'm building an AT AAC Google Site. So this is the place where I'm putting the forms and trying to put links and resources for people to go look at. And then you can access that through the Santa Barbara County website. So I'm going to stop this share and show you that. And here we go. So all of you know the Santa Barbara County SELPA website because you all signed up for your professional development. So the assistive technology is under resources. So you go to the resources tab, assistive technology, click on that. And then this is just the general assistive technology resource page. So what this has is outside links, different outside links about assistive technology. The ones I want to highlight here, which I also have linked on the website, which I'll show you in a minute, is this Placer County SELPA has an open access program, and they've curated all sorts of great resources for AAC, for AT, and for UDL. As well, you've got what I talked about, that SET framework, UDL guidelines, and the WADI are all here for you to link to. But for the internal site, at the very first link, not in alphabetical order, is the Santa Barbara County SELPA Google site. And I'm trying to put all the sort of internal stuff that can help you guys here. So it's a little bit more visual and easy to look at than just a bunch of links. So again, this is just in its beginning stages. I'm just building the form of it. So home is here, and forms would be where you would access forms and ask for supports. So down here, we have the request. So this is a Google form. It's a specialist request form. If you open that, you can just your name and your contact, and then if there's something specific you want support with, or it fits into one of these assistant areas, then great. And if we've done some observations, or I've done an assessment, or we've done anything to do with extra technology or something that you've maybe had on loan, this would be the follow-up form that I would send out to check up on how's everything going. And then moving down here are the official Santa Barbara SELPA. Oh, and just really quick, I love it if people would use these forms, because then it's collected on Google and has kind of, I get the data at the end of the month or the end of the year of how many support requests I got and what were the areas of need. And so it's kind of located in its own little section versus in my email. Down here, these are the official SELPA forms. So these forms are actually also available on Cyrus in the added forms section. So if you go to tools, added forms, you'll see all these different categories. There's an AT, AAC category, and these two forms will be also on Cyrus. But I wanted to give them another place, another home too, if people like having another place to look for them versus just Cyrus. So this form, the Guide for Consideration of Assistive Technology, these should all be public. You should be able to print them out or open them up with the PDF filler and be able to do this with your team. So this guide for consideration is something that you would use at the IEP, or you can use it any time of year, or you can use it if a parent is having questions and asking about, well, what are you doing for assistive technology? Like my kid needs assistive technology. This would be the form that you get off Cyrus or here and kind of work through it and have a discussion about, okay, let's talk about what what the areas of need are. So this form is just separated into those WADI sections to do a school. So we have motor aspects of writing, reading, decoding and comprehension, math, learning and executive functioning, and anything else that you want to write there. The let's see here. So that's something you can use at any time. And this would be something, yes, if you're sitting around at the IEP, you can also have this out and help you with, it kind of matches the accommodations as well. If it gets into needing an assessment, then this is the assessment form, assessment referral form, which is a little bit more involved. And this would have more detailed, what is the assessment focus? And it's kind of a bigger snapshot of what the student's doing every day and what their present levels are boiled down into a referral form. This is, so it has like, what's the instructional level and what are the comments? And then you tell me what is the focus, what is the task you're really focused on for assistive technology? You want to like boil it down to 1 or 2 or 3 tasks versus, assessing every area for assistive technology. What are the most important tasks? Especially for learning and executive functioning. I know that's really an area of need in children with mild to mod disabilities. And then this is more complex needs, which doesn't exactly refer to you, but you can kind of see the referral form. Okay, and there's a consult meeting note, and then this is the procedural handbook that explains all the assistive technology procedures. Right now, there's not too much on here. This is the AAC section. The AT section, I will show you the link for the Placer County. I showed you that link on the other SELPA page, but here's this one. So this is what I would suggest looking at for ideas for right now. I just talked to the director of the open access program the other day, and she's like, well, we've curated all this stuff. This is curated for everybody to use. We'll continue to curate it. So, I didn't have to curate something because here it is. So it's called a flip kit. So you can look here, they've got all the same areas that you can look at. So somebody shout out an area you want to look up for assistive technology. I can't see you, so just anyone yell out.
Reading and literacy.
All right, so let's click on here. I'm looking for technology solutions, audio textbooks, text to speech, ways to optimize visual. Let's look at this one. Why not? So it will tell you read and write, different. A lot of them are, really these days it's all about apps and Chrome extensions. Those are usually the first line of offense for trying to support a student with extra tech. So basically, it just gives you all the different things you can look at and learn more about. Open dyslexic font for Chrome is interesting. This is something where you can, it's supposed to increase the readability. I think Helperbird is another one where it can make the website look more accessible and such. So there's that flip kit. And UDL will have the same thing. There's a flip kit for UDL. And then training, eventually there'll be some, I probably will upload the training stuff here. We also, this training and any other training that I'm doing or Zooming will also be linked to the YouTube channel on the SELPA site. And if you need to know where that is, sometimes it's hard to find that. Oops, not there. Here. Go back to home. So the YouTube channel is under the professional development link. So right here at the end, you can always go back there and look at the videos that we've been doing since pandemic started, actually. Okay, so those are the websites. I wanted to do an iPad accessibility demo. some of the easiest things to first try with students that might need a little reading support or wanting to think, text to speech, speech to text are really the accessibility features on your iPad. And you may or may not have been using these or know about them. So it's going to show the main ones that I've been looking at and using. All right, so here we are in settings. We go to settings, go to accessibility. And if you go down to spoken content, this has some good features to start with. So with speak selection, if you toggle speak selection on, a speak button will appear when you select text. So if I go to this website, Smithsonian Junior, when I go to select the text, now I'll have a little speak button there. So just not copy, paste, share. Now I can speak it.
You asked us a question. Why do we love junk food?
If you go to speak screen, you can have that on or off. Swipe down with 2 fingers from the top of the screen to hear the content of the screen. That will basically just start reading the entire screen, from the address bar to whatever. So you may not want that one, but I wanted to show you anyway. Highlighting content, if you noticed that I had mine highlighted, so you can have words and sentences, you can have it underlined, or you can have, word color, sentence color. If you go to background color, you can change, you can decide what you want your background color to be and what you want your sentence color to be. So that's great. That's good for helping students track the reading while it's read to them. When you go, let's say typing feedback is another one. If you could push typing feedback, you can get character feedback. You can speak words, speak auto text, and hold to speak predictions. So if I go into my notes and start typing.
Now, capital I. Have. Audio. Feedback.
Okay, that doesn't sound right? I wanted to write. So you can have the students write, oh, that doesn't sound right. What do we do with this? And you can try, go back. Let's see. Maybe it's FE. And
feedback.
You can have obviously this
from my.
We'll read that out loud too. And so those are the ones I may basically use to get some speech, text to speech going. There's also voiceover. Voiceover is going to speak the whole screen too. So you probably don't, you can turn it on to kind of check it out, but mostly you probably won't need that one. And then same thing, you can go into typing from this as well. And the other one I wanted to show you was let's see, display and brightness. Oh no, accessibility, it's display and text sized. So you can have bold text, you can change the text. We want accessibility sizes. You can change the sizes. You can increase the contrast. So I actually have increased contrast on now. And let's see. Color filters, sometimes students can complain, the iPad's hurting their eyes or Zoom fatigue or what have you. So you can put a color filter on. You can tint the whole screen. And there's the color tint, intensity, and hue. So it might make you feel sick, or you might be like, whoa, that's so much better. So those are also things you can play with there. All right. And back to for Chrome extensions, they work just like apps. If you go to the Chrome Google Store, You basically just can type in anything that you want, like dyslexia or executive functioning or organization. And you'll get a whole gamut of things that you can choose. But that open access link that I showed you, like I said, they've kind of curated many of the best extensions. So if there's other, you can look for different things that you don't find on the open access. The main ones that people use are co-writer, read and write. Equatio is for typing math problems. So it's just like read and write for math. So it doesn't solve the problems, it just helps the students type them out if they have difficulty with writing. And then Cami is another PDF filler. And there's the helper bird, and that was on the open access. And then your Chrome extensions are on the little tiny puzzle piece up at the top right of your Chrome browser. And you can, they come in a drop-down menu, so you can click on whatever you want or pin them up at the top so you use them if you use them the most often. And then the rest of these slides are just more lists of different ideas of resources to use for low tech, high tech for the areas of need. So we have reading, writing, of course, high tech is on every page. You're going to see Chrome extensions and iPad accessibility. There's so many more accessibility features, but I would say those ones that I showed you are really the good ones for helping students with reading or writing. Trying to think if I have my other. A lot of people have the Notability app, and that's another great app that I've used a lot of. I can show you that, what I've done with the Notability app. And then that would be probably it. And those are resources. So let me show you one more time the Notability app. And so I got really into using Notability last year with many different types of students, mild, mod, severe, what have you. So one of the main things that I've found, you might have students that just have difficulty writing. Maybe it's just their handwriting, or maybe it's just their processing. But, students can get super, they can also get really distracted when they try to practice doing, voice typing or something, because it doesn't come out right, it's misspelled, it takes a lot of practice to do voice typing. And that's something the student has to practice. And it can be frustrating, and people can abandon voice typing pretty quickly. But say you have a student, if you can copy and paste any picture in there. So usually I would just get a student to go to Google and find the picture that has to do with whatever we're talking about or whatever we're writing about, paste a picture. If the student doesn't really like to write or has difficulty, then you use the microphone. And that microphone, I've used it with students to do those questioning prompts, like, okay, we're going to write, you read The Outsiders, and now you're going to write about it. But you have to constantly okay, well, who are the characters and what happened in the story? And we all do that as teachers and therapists all the time, but you never see that data. You just see the end product. So when you use the microphone, you can have 10 minutes, 20 minutes of the whole conversation. And then the student can go back and listen to that. And perhaps then after that, they might make a sentence or dictate a sentence. Maybe the processing is well, I have to listen to this again to remember what it is that I was talking about and what it is I could use to start typing or to start writing. So that if you're having a student who wants to do speech to text voice typing, but is having difficulty, use the microphone to just have them record themselves talking or having a conversation with you about whatever the subject is. And that way, you're getting data and you're getting their thoughts, you're getting their knowledge on the subject. It's not on paper, but it's on a note. So it's, as long as you title the note, whatever your assignment is, you have some data on what the student can produce. And maybe having them produce just by their voice will give them some confidence, and then they'll feel better about moving on to doing something that's more challenging, like writing. So that is what I have for now. Does anyone have questions or feedback? I apologize for the technical difficulties, but now I'm plugged in. No, nothing. Okay, well, this will be available on the YouTube channel eventually. And just basically, I'm here for any of your brainstorming, problem solving, whatever you need. But definitely use those open access Placer County's resources. And yeah, call me or email me or use the Google form. And that's my favorite thing to do, is just people ask questions and brainstorm and figure it out. Because like I said, assistive technology can be the littlest thing, or it could be a conversation that then gets everybody else thinking, and oh, okay, that could work, and it works great. It's when you're having a lot of challenges and things aren't working and you keep trying things, that would maybe be going into more of an assessment type thing. But any assessing that I do would be, I'm facilitating a team-based process. So I might, you might be on the assessment plan, or speech might be on the assessment plan. It might not just be me on the assessment plan if we need more information. So hope everybody has a great afternoon. Thanks for coming. Much
Thank
appreciated.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.